Good evening, folks. My name is AJ Limit, and I'd like to present an old project made new in the modern data platform called Databricks. Now, what is this old project exactly? This is a project that I made in order to show the growing importance of the three-point field goal to the game of basketball, particularly in the NBA. And as most people who follow the NBA know, that the three-point field goal was not really a key part of the strategy of most NBA teams. Most teams would consider it a gimmick up until a shift in 2012. And this shift was primarily driven by the efforts of a certain NBA player known as Stephen Curry of the Golden State Warriors. Um, from that point on, more and more teams have been making the three-point field goal a key part of their strategy ever since. So, back to the project at hand. The first versions of this project was done by yours truly during the year 2019, where I had freshly graduated. And as you can see, I just made simple visualizations using Excel and Tableau. Now, eventually, as my skills improved as a data professional, I would revisit this project to see if I can improve it um, with the skills I learned over time. For example, I remade this project using Python, Power BI, and Windows Task Scheduler to make a simple ETL pipeline. As you can see over here, this is the Python web scraping script, which would extract from basketballreference.com per season and then save it into a CSV file. And I then orchestrated this script using Windows Task Scheduler in order to run every day. Um, so essentially creating a simple ETL pipeline in order to feed a Power BI dashboard that would show all the total stats for a given season since the implementation of the three-point field goal during 1979, as well as showing a little graph over here showing um, the growing importance of the three-point field goal. As you can see, there are more attempts over the years as well as scores. Um, and this same project is the same thing that I'm creating right now in Databricks Free Edition. But what exactly is Databricks Free Edition? Well, Databricks Free Edition, or rather just Databricks in general, is a unified data intelligence platform designed by the creators of Apache Spark. What do you mean by unified data intelligence, AJ? Well, I'm glad you asked. It's basically a one-stop shop for pretty much anything related to data. So, for example, the things that I told you that I did for my old project, like orchestration, using Task Scheduler, using Power BI for business intelligence, and even AI work, it can all be done on Databricks itself without needing multiple different other programs that need to be forced to interact with each other. It can all be done just on Databricks itself. But more to that point later. For now, what I'm going to tell you is an overview of what I'm going to show you for this project. And the first thing that I'm going to do with that in regard is to show you the differences between this project and the old project. Then I'll move on to the benefits of using Databricks as a platform. Then I'll wrap it up with things that I intend to do to improve upon this project in the future as I learn more about Databricks as a platform. Now, hopefully you get to learn something from me as well as I walk you through this. So, as I mentioned before, here are the differences between the script that I made on Databricks and the old script that I made on VS Code. Uh, so much of the structure of the script is pretty much the same. The only key differences would be the way that the script extracts data from basketballreference.com. In the older version, it would use Selenium to extract the data using XPath. And Selenium is actually a Java and Python module that is used primarily for testing websites, and it's not exactly the most efficient at getting data from websites, but it also accomplishes the same job. XPath is a query language that is used to read HTML elements as well as XML elements. And the key difference between this and the script in Databricks is that the one in Databricks uses Beautiful Soup to extract data from basketballreference.com. Now, Beautiful Soup is a web scraping specific Python module, and I decided to use this because Selenium doesn't really play nice with Databricks. However, using Beautiful Soup is not exactly ideal, and I'll explain more about that as this video goes along. Now, aside from that, in the old script, there isn't any error handling statements like this try statement, this try and accept statement over here to handle any errors that come up. And over here, I'm expecting most errors that will come up are just bad requests to basketballreference.com. Now, lastly, instead of printing out a CSV file upon a directory where the script is located, the Databricks script, instead of printing out onto the directory wherever the script is located, would save to a volume path. And you'll be able to see this in the catalog page of Databricks over here, volume. Oh, what is a volume exactly? Well, it's a cloud storage object, and it makes it easier for your aspiring data engineer because you can easily use Databricks schema inference to create a table using that same CSV, and it would create a very nice SQL table for you to use in anything that you'd like to use, like for example, business intelligence. So, speaking of business intelligence, you can actually use the same SQL table as a data source to create dashboards within Databricks itself, specifically in the dashboards page. And I'm going to show you one specific example of a dashboard I made with that same SQL table over here. And this is actually the same Power BI dashboard that I made way back when. It's just that it's been remade on Databricks. So the data should line up. Now, we're going to check that right now. If you can see the season that this Power BI dashboard is currently set on, it's 2023. And if we set the same thing on Databricks, it should line up. And as you can see, it does line up. If you check the average 3-point and 2-point across all teams and compare it to the Power BI dashboard, it's the same thing, except that this has been rounded up. Except if you check the last page. Now, if you compare the last page on both dashboards, you can see that there's quite a discrepancy between the both of them. And that discrepancy seems to be here between the year 2015 and 2016. So what exactly is causing the discrepancy between this dashboard in Databricks and the old dashboard in Power BI? Well, it goes back to what I was saying about why Beautiful Soup is not exactly ideal for this project. And I'm going to show you now. Like if you look at the script, the way that the Beautiful Soup gets the data from the total stats table, which is the table that we are accessing and scraping data from, is that it would find all the tables in the web page and then get the table with index 6. Now, if you count all the tables before the total stats table, you'll see that the total stats table is table 6. So see the conference standing tables. This would be the table index 0. This would be table index 1, index 2, index 3, index 4, index 5, because the opponent per game table is its own independent table until we reach the total stats table, which is table 6. However, if you look at the tables in the page for season 2015 and before that, all the way back to 1979, there are no conference standing tables. The first tables in this web page is the division standing tables, which will change the index of the total stats table. And if you count, this would be table index 0, 1, 2, 3, and then the total stats table is table index 4. And that is why we're getting the wrong data for all of the seasons from 2015 all the way back to 1979. And that is something that we need to change in the script. However, if we had also instead used XPath like in the old script, this would not be a problem because the XPath would just access the total stats table directly. And I'm going to show you right now. See? Over here as well, if you check inspect and then you copy the XPath expression onto the search bar of the HTML part of the web page, you'll be able to find the total stats table pretty much immediately. And that's why I think that this method is more efficient than using Beautiful Soup. That being said, Beautiful Soup does get the job done. We only need to tweak this part of the script a little bit more in order to be able to search up the total stats table. And I'm going to do that right now. So we went ahead and modified the script. Now, what the script is going to do to be able to retrieve the data in the total stats table is to iterate through each table in the web page and get its index up until such a point where it finds a table that has the ID totals team. And if you look at the web pages, you'll be able to see that this is the ID of the total stats table, and I'm going to show you right now. There we go. This is the total stats table, and once it's got the ID of the totals team, it will take the index of this table and then break out of the for loop that iterates through the tables within that web page, and then take this table index and then use it to scrape the data out of the total stats table in the web page. There's also some minor transformations like adding the year of the season that was scraped, as well as removing the last column, which is the league average row of the total stats table, which is not really needed in this case. And that's pretty much all of the modifications we've done. We've already ran the script and printed out the CSV onto our volume, and then that's what we're going to check right now. And I'm going to show you a little bit about the schema inference that I mentioned earlier in the video, in which you can easily create a schema using CSV data and other kinds of data that you just put in a volume here in Databricks. And I'm going to show you right now. We're going to run this cluster. Then afterwards, once it's finished, I'm going to show you how the schema inference goes. In this case, we won't create a new table. We're just going to overwrite the old table, which is called scrape_test. Overwrite the existing data. Then you'll see a little bit of a preview of the data that you're going to be getting in that SQL table. So here it is. Now, we're going to go ahead and overwrite the table now. I'm going to click overwrite table. This will replace data and data default scrape test with your new files. Yes. Overwrite the scrape test. Give it a moment. There. And then it should have been updated now. And it says here it was last updated. Now, if we check in the dashboards, it should also, this should also reflect on the dashboard side. And then with that in mind, we're going to see changes to the Insights tab, where we're going to see that the line graphs that I have over here should reflect the same kind of data that we see in the Power BI dashboards. And We're going to check right now by refreshing. We're going to do that right now. And there we go. Look at that. Now it reflects the same way that the dashboards in the Power BI in the old Power BI dashboard. And yeah, this is my project in a nutshell, which is just basically the same Power BI dashboard and ETL pipeline done on Databricks, a unified data intelligence platform. So I'm sure you're wondering what is the takeaway from all of this if it's just a reiteration of an old project on a new platform. Well, that's the thing. Um, if you think about what the old project was, it was a tool chain, multiple tools that were kind of ramshackle forced into interacting with each other in order to create a dashboard. And it when you think about someone who's trying to learn data engineering and data analytics would probably be intimidated by the process of trying to create a similar project. They'd have to learn orchestration and the tools that you use for orchestration, like cron, autosys, or Windows Task Scheduler. And then you'd have to learn how to write Python script or SQL, and learn how to make SQL databases or something like that in order to be able to store data. And afterwards, you'd have to learn a BI tool such as Power BI, Tableau, or Looker. All of that could be very, very intimidating for the aspiring data professional. And what's beautiful about Databricks is that it has all of those already pretty much inside of Databricks. If you want orchestration, you get the jobs and pipelines. If you want business intelligence, you just use the dashboard tool. And then if you want to learn how to write Python script, you have the workspace and just open up a notebook. And even then, if for example, like you're just jumping straight into it with zero experience in programming or scripting, you have this AI tool that you can ask questions in order to help you um, like learn more about what you want to write, be it in Python or SQL. And this is great for people who are trying to learn. After all, if you learn just one stack, every kind of other stack becomes easier to learn. And Databricks is pretty much an entire stack put inside of a single platform. And I think that's the biggest takeaway that you have to, get from this video. Now, so that's how Databricks can be used as a tool for learning data analytics and data engineering, as well as a place where you can do projects to kind of fill up your portfolio as a data professional. Now, with that in mind, I want to go over the plans that I have to improve upon this project as I learn more and more about the platform. And one of these plans is to change the way that the script extracts data from basketballreference.com. And what I plan to do is use XPath as a way to extract data from the website, just like in Selenium. Um, Thankfully, we don't have to use Selenium anymore. We just have to use LXML, which is another module that uses XPath to extract data from websites. Now, aside from that, I want to eventually extract more data from basketballreference.com on the player level. That way we can have more granular data in order to create more insightful visualizations on this dashboard, as well as eventually scheduling the script to run on a regular basis and refresh the dashboard on a regular basis too. And that in a nutshell is the things that I plan to do for my next steps in improving this project. Thank you for watching this video, and yeah, hope to show you more in the future.